Okay, everyone, so let's go ahead and get started. In our notes, let's go ahead and write down at the top, investigating integers. Our learning objective for today is to be able to illustrate absolute value using a number line. Today, we're going to be working to create and show and explain how an integer and its value is based on its location on a number line. Now, yesterday, remember, we talked about how the location of a number from 0 determines how heavy it is or its value. And so today we're going to be able to experiment with some really cool ways to illustrate the value of a number using a number line and stories. So let's go ahead and get started. In your notes, if you would please write investigating integers, temperature, sea level, and money. So we're going to start our class doing a PhET simulation exploration. We've seen PhET used in our science classes, but today we're going to be able to do some experimenting and simulating using a PhET simulation. If you would please, open up another tab in your internet and open up your Schoology page and click on math. When you click on math, you're going to see a link that says PhET number line exploration. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see it. So from our assignment yesterday, ordering integers using a number line, right under it, we're going to be looking at our PhET number line exploration. Please click that link as soon as you can. Once you are where Miss Neville is, I want you to raise your virtual hand. Once your screen looks like Miss Neville's does, I want you to raise your virtual hand. Good job, Jalen.
No, Miss Neville, I can't see your screen.
It'll come back in a second. Hopefully you can see it now, Jalen. Can you?
Yes, ma'am, I can see it now.
Okay. So we want to click on PhET number line simulation in our new purple folder in our math class in Schoology. And once we've clicked there, this screen will show. Once your screen matches Miss Neville's screen, please raise your virtual hand.
Miss Neville, I guess mine are just loading because mine doesn't look like that yet.
Okay, well, it's coming.
Okay, now it does. Mine's only a quarter of the way loaded.
Okay, so if yours is still loading, just continue to wait. It's coming. Maybe internet's working a little bit slower. So once you're there, you're going to click on Explore. And when you click on Explore, you're going to see this really fun screen. You'll see a number line, a virtual number line over on the side, on the left side. And as you're exploring today with Miss Explorer, the scuba diver, the penguin, and is this a fish or a flying fish? I don't know. So, and you'll be playing with this organism as well. And you're going to place them in different places. And I want you to be thinking about what you notice and what you wonder as you place these 3 different persons or animals throughout this picture. Go ahead and take some time and explore with that without Miss Neville helping. Go ahead. And you may now go ahead and lower your virtual hand. Good job, Josiah. What do you notice as you put them in different places while looking at that number line? Promise, do you have your hand up because you need something?
Oh no, I forgot to put my hand down.
No worries. So right now, guys, we're exploring with Miss Explorer, the penguin, and the flying or swimming fish as they go through as they're underwater and in the sky. As you place them in different places, what do you see happening on that number line? What do you see happening on that number line? Don't share what you're finding yet. Don't share what you're finding yet. Emily, do you need something?
No, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead and put your hand down for me, sweetie.
Question.
You have a question?
No, I was waiting on you to ask what was going on with the number line.
Oh, yeah, no, not yet, sweetness. I'm glad you're there. Good job. So things you notice are almost like aha moments, like, oh, so this happens. And while you're playing with this, you might have some questions. Those are called wonder statements. So what do you wonder as you're playing with this? What do you wonder? Let's work to have at least one notice, one thing we notice, one aha moment, and one wonder. Take another minute.
My virtual fish ain't working.
Okay. Well, just play with the penguin and Miss and the little explorer girl. I wonder what happens when I put the girl above water. If she's in the sky, is she scuba diving anymore? Don't answer. We're going to talk about it in a second. Okay, so we've had some time to play with our explorers, and there were some things that we saw here. And you'll see that Miss Neville is now sharing her screen. You do not need to write this. I'm just going to write down some things that you notice or wonder. Now, I need you to listen up. When we share this, I want you to either start your statement with, I notice, or I wonder. So that tells Miss Neville which place to put this. When you're sharing your statements, you want to write either, I know this, or I notice, or I wonder. Okay, go ahead. And Emily, if you'll unmute yourself and share with us something that you found as you explored.
I noticed when you move the penguin up and down that it goes from adding to subtracting. When you go up, it's adding, and when you go down, it's subtracting.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone would like to share? Perhaps a wonder? What's a question you still have from the exploration that you did? Miss Neville has a wonder. Emily used the word adding and subtracting. Do we call it adding numbers and subtracting numbers. I want to kind of think about what I learned with Miss Neville yesterday about integers and how when I owe money to someone, that's represented by a blank integer. And when I save money, that's represented by another type of integer. Can anyone help me fill in those blanks? When I owe money to someone, is that a subtracting integer? What would I call that? Possibly
Negative.
negative. Very good. And when I am saving money, when I'm putting money in my bank account, what is that called?
Positive.
A positive integer. So, Emily, could I replace some of the things you said in your notice when it goes down, when it goes from adding to subtracting? Instead, can someone help me and Emily out? Instead of where it says it goes from adding to subtracting, what should we actually be saying?
When it goes from negative to positive?
From positive to negative. Very good. Can someone remind us, very good guys, can someone remind us as a class, what is an integer? What is an integer? What is an integer? We find those on our number line. Sometimes we have negative integers or positive integers. Can someone remind us from yesterday, what is an integer?
A whole number valued positive or negative numbers.
Yeah, so a whole number. So that is a fraction an integer? A fraction like 3/4, would that be a whole number?
No.
No, it wouldn't be. So as we're talking today, let's look at some real world situations that we see in that PhET simulation. What were you exploring? What were you experimenting with that was real world situations that we were able to see, as Emily so eloquently said, we were able to see positive integers and negative integers. What were some real world situations you saw? What activities did you see happening? Can someone tell me what was the girl doing?
Scuba diving.
Yep, she was scuba diving. What about when we put her above water? What was she doing?
Parasailing.
Yeah. Okay. What about the penguin? When we put him underwater, what was he doing?
Swimming.
Swimming. Yeah. And so remember from our example with Orlando yesterday, the deeper he swam underwater, what did you see happening with the integers on that number line? Play with it right now if you need to. What would you see happening the deeper that penguin swam? What would you see happening with the integers on the number line?
The numbers got more negative.
Yeah. Very good. The integers, as they move further from zero, further down that number line, the numbers became more negative. Great share, Emily. So let's keep going with our lesson today. What we see here is, and I want you to draw this in your notes. Yesterday we discussed a horizontal number line, or a number line that goes from east to west. Now we're going to discuss today, please draw this in your notes, a vertical number line. I need you to understand it's different. It's just a different way to illustrate or show a number's location from zero. And that helps us a lot when we do activities like we just did, when we talk about elevation or how deep underground or below sea level we go, we might want to use a vertical north-south number line. Okay, when we're talking about how high a bird is flying in the sky, we could also use that vertical number line. Please take some time to draw this vertical number line with the same integers that you see Miss Neville has on hers. Once you have that drawn, we're going to do some experimenting and some exploring with two of these real world examples. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed them. Mm-hmm. No, you're good.
Okay. Okay, so our first example that we see there, please write down, you don't have to draw that really creative picture of that piggy bank. Our first example there, we want to look at that piggy bank. Orlando, can you read this sentence for us that I'm putting that purple dot beside? Orlando, can you read this sentence for us that Miss Neville's put the purple dots beside? Promise, could you unmute yourself and read that sentence to us that Miss Neville's put the purple dots beside?
It says put $5 in savings.
Very good. So if we're putting $5 in savings, does that mean I don't have $5 or I'm adding $5 to my account?
Adding $5.
Very good. So what 5 would this represent? Would it be the positive 5 or our negative 5? What say you guys?
Positive 5.
Very good. Okay, and so we would represent that integer there as 5. A positive 5. But now we're using that same bank account. I've spent $5 for lunch. I've spent $5 for lunch. Camille, if you could unmute yourself and let us know, is this an example of positive $5 or negative $5? When I spend $5 for lunch, does that represent a positive 5 or a negative 5?
Negative $5.
Very good. And so this would be our negative 5. Please take some time and write down both of these situations. Put $5 in savings, spent $5 for lunch, and I want to write down beside each of those situations where this represents a positive 5 integer or a negative 5 as an integer. Please take some time to finish writing that down now. Remember, you do not need to draw the pictures. Remember, this lesson is being recorded. So if Miss Neville goes too fast or anything, as soon as class is over today, I'm going to put this in the Schoology and on my YouTube page, so you'll be able to view it. So if you miss any notes today, you can go back and get them. So as we're talking today, let's continue looking at our absolute value, what absolute value is. Okay, so in your notes, please write down these two words, absolute value. And when we're talking about the absolute value of a number, of an integer, we want to make sure we understand its location on a number line. Absolute value, understanding the integer's location on a number line. Please take some time to write that down now. Ms. Neville is about to go on. So when we're using this horizontal number line, it's important for us to understand, you don't need to draw this number line right now. It's important for us to understand what absolute value is. Please write this definition for absolute value. Guys, it's important for us to know that the absolute value describes the distance an integer is from 0 on a number line. The distance a number is from 0 on a number line. So as we're looking at these numbers, and you can actually use...
Teachers, please excuse interruption.
So we want to remember here that we can use that vertical number line that we created. Okay, and so when we're looking at absolute value, we'll see how far that number is from our 0. So when we're looking here, for example, at 1, positive 1, can someone tell me how many jumps is this 1 from the 0? How many places do I have to jump?
1.
Just 1.
1.
Very good. So the absolute value, can you guys see that yellow writing?
I can.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So the absolute value of 1 is 1. And we put those signs here on the side, okay? And this tells us the absolute value of 1. What this is actually telling us is how far 1 is away from 0 on the number line. So if I were to ask you the absolute value, let's use a different color. If I were to ask you the absolute value of -1, in other words, how many jumps is -1 from 0 on the number line, what would you say it is? How many places do I have to jump from this -1 to 0?
Say again. You
1.
kind
1.
skipped out there.
Yeah. So the absolute value of -1 is 1. Now, someone tell me again, when I say the absolute value, what am I actually saying?
The distance from a number to the 0.
Very good. So it's important for us to realize that 1 and -1 have the same absolute value. In other words, 1 and -1 are the same distance from let me say it again. 1 and -1 have the same absolute value. In other words, 1 and -1 have the same distance from what number?
0.
From 0. So when we're looking here, let's do some more practice. Let's find the absolute value of 6. What is the absolute value of 6?
Six.
Yep. So Jalen, what am I saying? Ooh, no. What am I saying when I say the absolute value of 6 is 6?
You mean the distance from 6 to the 0?
Very good. If you look at it, let's jump from 0 to 6. How many units will we move? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we see here that the absolute value is the distance from 0, is the number's distance from 0. Can someone tell me what is the absolute value of negative 6?
6.
How did you get
6.
that answer? You're correct. How did you get that answer?
By figuring out the distance in between the 6 and the 0.
Very good. And so we jumped 6 spaces, 6 places, 6 units from that negative 6 to the 0. Let's do some independent practice, and you're going to get 5 minutes to work these 3 examples out on your own. Example 1. Please tell me the absolute value of 5. Example 2. Please tell me the absolute value of negative 3. And example 3. Please tell me the absolute value of 4. You have 5 minutes. I'm calling on a non-volunteer for each of these. At the end of that 5 minutes, please get to work.
Your screen is glitching a little. Every time it moves, every time your mouse moves, it glitches.
I think that's your internet, Emily. I'm sorry about that, sweetie. The good news is I'm recording this lesson, so if you miss any of it, you'll be able to watch it on your own later on, okay?
Okay.
About 2 minutes left. Josiah, could you tell us what is the absolute value of 5?
5.
Tell us how you got that answer, buddy.
Because I measured the distance from 0 to 5.
Very good. So the absolute value is 5. He found that out by jumping 5 units from 5 to 0. I have a question. Is there any other number on this number line that also has an absolute value of 5?
-5.
Very good, Josiah. It's the same amount of jumps, right? 5 jumps from -5 to 0. Jordan, if you could unmute yourself and let us know, what is the absolute value of -3? Jordan, what's the absolute value of -3? Amir, if you could unmute yourself and let us know, what is the absolute value of -3? Melena, what is the absolute value of -3?
-3.
It's -3. Melena, what's the absolute value of -3?
3.
Very good. Can you tell us how you got that answer?
I counted how many units it was away from 0.
Very good. Melena, is there another integer on this number line that also has an absolute value of 3?
Yes.
Which one is it?
3.
Very good. And so the absolute value of 4 would be what, Jalen? What would the absolute value of 4 be? Say it again, sorry. 4. Very good. Because it's 4 units. We move 4 units on that number line. So now let's make this a little bit tougher as we apply this knowledge. Now let's look at an absolute value story. Miss Neville's going to model to you how to work through an absolute value story, okay? And then for your independent work today, you're going to be writing your own absolute value story. So it's going to be extremely important for you to pay attention to everything that Miss Neville's doing and ask any questions you have about anything you don't understand. Give me 1 second. Let's make sure everybody can see the screen. Okay. The absolute value story. Please follow along with Miss Neville. A hotel has 6 floors above ground and for the main lobby and the rooms. Michael parks and it has 6 floors below ground level. That's super important for parking. Michael parks on the 5th floor underground and rides the elevator to the lobby on the main floor to check in. Then he goes to his room, which is on the 4th floor. How many floors does Michael go from the time he arrives at the hotel until he gets to his room? And Miss Neville's going to ask for you to explain your reasoning. So that's what we're going to do today as a class together, okay? If you would please create another vertical number line here with me. And let's discuss what integers we want to have on that number line. So of course our number line, we're going to start here towards the middle with our 0. Which floor of the hotel could represent 0? Which floor of the hotel?
Main floor.
The main floor, that lobby. Very good. And so I'm going to write lobby beside that 0. You should too. This is going to help us to explain our reasoning at the end when we finish creating our story or illustrating this story. So what numbers, what integers need to go on this number line? Remember, these numbers below 0, are those going to be positive integers or negative integers?
Negative integers.
Very good. And because there's 6 floors below ground, my integers need to go from -1 all the way to what?
-6. -5.
-6. There's 6 floors below. Okay? And let's label each of our tick marks. Okay? So the integers that go above 0, would those be positive or negative integers?
Positive.
Positive. And how, what's the integer here? We're going to go from 1 to
6.
1 to 6.
6. So let's go ahead and label our integers here. Whatever Miss Neville's doing, you should be doing as well in your math notebook. So let's now start tracking where Michael's going here. Where does Michael park? On what floor does Michael park?
Floor 1 or floor 6 on the negative side.
Floor 5.
The 5th floor. Let's go right back and read we're reading from the passage. So I'm going to put an M beside -5 because that's where Michael is starting. You should too. Why did Miss Neville say that -5 represents the 5th floor underground?
Because it's negative, that means it's under 0.
Very good. It's below ground. Very good. So then what happens next in our story?
He rides the elevator to go to the main floor.
Yeah, he goes to that lobby to check in. So let's jump there on his elevator together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now Michael is here. What is the absolute value of Michael's jump from his parking to the main lobby? What would be the absolute value here? Say it again.
5.
5. So I'm going to write here 5 because I don't want to forget that, even though we're not done with Michael's story. Then he goes to his room, which is on the 4th floor. Michael's got one more journey to take from the main lobby to the 4th floor. Is he going back down here to -4, someone?
No.
So, so where is he going?
Up.
4th floor.
He's going to the 4th floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the absolute value of Michael's journey from the lobby to his room? What's the absolute that? Say it again.
4.
4. So somebody's jumped ahead. So in all, what was the absolute value of Michael's trip?
9.
How did you get that number?
Adding 5.
Added up the numbers you jumped.
Yeah. So his total amount of jumping was 9. His absolute value for his absolute value from the parking lot from where he was parked was 5, and from the main lobby to his room was 4. So let's talk about what you will be doing today for your independent practice. Any questions here about what we've done?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay. So what we're going to do here today is you're going to be creating your own simulation story. What I want you to do right now in your notebooks is write down the directions here. I want you to write these directions down. Even though you're going to see them on the worksheet on Schoology, please take some time to write these directions down. Today, you will be creating your own story using a thermometer, a piggy bank, or the Penguin Explorer. And you're going to write a story that explains how the value of integers change using a number line. So you'll have to tell your story using a number line like we did with Michael at the hotel. And you're going to have to write your own math story. You're going to have until 12:28 today to complete this assignment. Let's talk about where we can find that assignment. I want to give you a little time to finish writing down these directions in your math notebook. Okay, so let's keep going here. What we're going to do today is we're going to go, Jalen, do you have a question? You want to unmute yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was doing it for the questions thing.
Gotcha. Okay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at our Schoology. Okay. And I want you to pay attention here. I need you to pay attention. Here where it says FET number line simulation, look over here at that box with an arrow coming out of it. Please click that box. When you do, surprise, surprise, you get your own tab for this FET simulation. Again, we're going to click Explore, and all of you will be working on one of these assignments. So if you get assigned the Explorer, you're going to stay on this page. If you get assigned the piggy bank, you're going to go to the second square. Look at where Ms. Neville's clicking. And then when you go, and if you get assigned the thermometer, you're going to click on the thermometer here. No matter where you go, you'll want to make sure you click the absolute value mark. That's going to help you to determine the absolute value or your integer's location from 0. Any questions about where you're going to make your math story?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so now let's talk about who's doing what. If you could write down your assignment, Jordan, Orlando, Tristan, Jackson, and Piper, you guys will be making a math story with the thermometer. Camille, Brenner, Isaiah, Promise, and Amir, you guys will be making a math story using the piggy bank.
Okay.
And the Penguin or the Explorer lady, whichever one you want to use, that's going to be Josiah, Aphrodite, Michael, Milena, Emily, and Dayton. You guys will be completing that math story using the Penguin and Explorer. If you want to, you can go ahead and write down which story you're supposed to be writing. You can write it down right under the directions you've written there.
Miss Neville.
Yeah.
I didn't hear my name on the
Oh,
the
snap. Jalen, how could I forget you? Jalen, let's have you do the piggy bank.
Okay.
Thank you for saying that. Is there anyone else who doesn't see their names? So that you can see it. Jordan, Orlando, Tristan, Jackson, and Piper. You guys will be writing a story about the thermometer. Camille, Brenner, Isaiah, Promise, Amir, and Jalen. You'll be writing a story using the piggy bank FET simulation. And Josiah, Aphrodite, Michael, Milena, Emily, and Dayton, you'll be writing your own story about the Penguin or the Explorer. So, where will we write this story? Well, when we go to our Schoology, it would be helpful if you could see Schoology. When we go to our Schoology, we're going to click back in our purple folder, and whichever story you've been assigned, you're going to open that worksheet. So for example, Jalen, what story are you writing about? Jalen, what story are you writing?
The piggy bank story.
So which worksheet would you open, Jalen?
Piggy bank story.
Very good. Piper, which story are you writing? Oh, she's out. Camille, what story are you writing?
Piggy bank.
Okay, so which worksheet would you open?
The piggy bank one.
Yep. Camille, are you going to open the Penguin Explorer or the thermometer worksheet?
No.
That's not for you. You're doing the piggy bank one. So when we click on that and we open it up, we see that this is our worksheet here. And you're going to click that link. We've had plenty of practice with it. You'll save it. And this on this worksheet is where you're going to write your story and submit it back to our Schoology portal.
Miss Neville.
Yes, ma'am.
It probably won't send through Schoology because it takes a very long time. It takes like an hour, so I'll email it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any questions about your assignment today?
No, ma'am.
I'm fine.
Jalen, what's up?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. Okay. So if you would please get to work. And when I want you to stay right here, do not leave this classroom. And at 12:20, I'm going to pull us back together to complete our exit ticket. Please get to work now.
Why is it so small?
I'm sitting right here. Your mouth needs to be shut and you need to be working. Yes, ma'am. Emily, how can I help you?
Where it says penguin and explorer, are you supposed to put your number line there, or are you supposed to put it where it says, let's see, where it says expression?
So I gave you that example there up at the front, up at the top. It looks like in your notes, you want to make sure you draw a number line for it. But I'm not asking for you to, it will probably be kind of tough for you to draw your number line in that Word document. So you want to make sure you've created a number line for your story in your notes. But on the document, all Ms. Neville needs you to do is write the story and tell me what these would look like as absolute value, the numbers that you've used.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that make sense, Emily?
Yes, ma'am.
Melena, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell us what you need.
After we're done with our number lines, do you want us to take a picture and then send it to you? Or
You can, sure.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got about 5 minutes before we wrap up. If you're still working, I want you to continue to work. But those of you who are getting done and getting ready to submit your assignment, I want us to look at completing our exit ticket today. So this is where you're able to explain to Miss Neville what you know. This also tells Miss Neville what tomorrow's lesson needs to look like. So after you've submitted your story, you're going to want to complete your integers and absolute value exit ticket. There's 2 questions here where you have to type in your answers using complete sentences. You only get 1 attempt, so feel free, make sure you take your time with these answers and you really show me what you know here. Number 1 says, in your own words, explain what is an integer. And number 2, in your own words, explain what is the absolute value of a number. You want to complete this exit ticket today after you submitted your stories. Your stories are due. Let me go ahead and fix that deadline because some of you only look at the deadline. Those stories are due today. So there's no procrastinating. We don't wait to finish something. We need to get it done today. Once we're done with that story, we want to make sure that we complete our exit ticket. And that exit ticket 2 is due today. All right, guys, let's finish up. We have about 10 minutes until class is going to dismiss for us. Keep working. All right, guys. So if you would please complete that assignment. Class is about to be over, and 6th grade science will be beginning in 2 minutes. Bye, guys.
Bye.